why we chose to move to Tennessee. Let's jump on in. Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Rebecca. I'm a realtor based here in Middle Tennessee, and I make videos every single week talking about all things life around Nashville, tips for buying or selling here, things to do here, tips for moving here, pretty much just all things life in general. But in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit deeper about why we chose to move to Tennessee, to the Nashville area specifically, and kind of just what our thought process was behind all of that. So let's jump on in. Okay, so backstory. If you're new here, I grew up in Colorado. My husband was born and raised outside Las Vegas. We had our first son, moved to Idaho, lived there for 2 years, moved to Tennessee. So just to get you caught up on that, that's kind of our background. And yeah, why we moved to Tennessee, why we chose Tennessee over everywhere else that we've been to, that we might have considered, and kind of just what went into our final decision to settle here. So when we moved to Idaho, there were a lot of factors that we wanted in a place. We wanted somewhere that valued freedom and those types of values. We wanted somewhere that valued family and faith, and also that had a lot of outdoor opportunities and things to do like that. My husband's really into hunting and fishing, so we wanted to be somewhere where there would be a lot of great hunting and fishing for him. Yeah, those were kind of our main things that were really important to us on a wish list of where we would end up raising our family. And Idaho checked off a lot of those, but it also had some things that we weren't crazy about. For one, the winters were really harsh, and sometimes that was easier to deal with than others, but especially having young kids and being stuck inside for months out of the year when it's freezing was really hard on us. And it kind of made all of the outdoor opportunities that Idaho had kind of pointless because we weren't really able to go out and enjoy them. Another thing is that we moved to a smaller area where there wasn't a ton to do around the city. There wasn't a lot of grocery shops that we loved, or even restaurants that we loved and things like that. And I know that can seem like kind of a dumb thing, and we didn't think much of it when we moved there and for a while after we had moved there. But after a while, it did get kind of old not having a Trader Joe's to go to. And I know how dumb and petty that can sound, but it was just one of those things that was important to us. And so when we decided that we were ultimately going to leave Idaho and go somewhere else, for one, we prayed a ton about it, and that was what ultimately led our decision. But we came back to Tennessee, and Tennessee was the other place before we had moved to Idaho that we had very, very strongly considered. But we had been to Idaho before. We had not been to Tennessee before when we moved to Idaho. So that was a major factor that played into that decision. And had we been to Tennessee before then, we might have ended up here years ago. Who knows? So back to why we chose Tennessee. Like I said, that was the other place that we very heavily considered before we ended up moving to Idaho. And I feel like it has a lot of the same values and factors that people look for in a move and in a place to settle down and raise a family or to retire or whatever it is. I feel like if you are looking at Tennessee or Idaho, you've probably also considered one or the other, because just lifestyle and factor wise, they have a lot of very similar qualities. Like I said, we wanted somewhere that really valued freedom and faith and family and all of those things. And Tennessee, obviously, if you know anything about Tennessee or the South, definitely checks those boxes. But on top of that, especially now coming from Idaho, there's an added plus of not having 6 months of intense, harsh winters. I know that summers are rough and it can be hot and humid, but like I said, we also moved from Vegas before then, so I feel like we can handle a few months of hot and humid weather. So on that front, it's kind of just an added perk of the things that we had in Idaho and also the things that we didn't like about Idaho. And on top of that, like I said, we ultimately ended up moving outside of Nashville. And we love that we still get that like country lifestyle. We have room and we have land out on our own, not in like the hustle and bustle of the city, but we're also 30 minutes from downtown Nashville if we want to go to a cool restaurant in Music Row, or if we want to go see a concert or go see some live music or anything like that. Nashville is obviously an amazing place to be because there is always something cool to go do, or some amazing restaurant to go try, or some event going on that we can take our kids to, or whatever. There is just no shortage of any things to do like that. But it also has a ton of outdoor stuff to do, which is, like I said, something that we really wanted and where we ultimately ended up. There is some incredible hikes, great fishing, great hunting, anything like that that's outdoorsy. Tennessee is also really amazing in having. So that was a big thing for us too. And on top of just the values that we were looking for, which Tennessee obviously has, another huge perk for us that we've experienced from the get-go is Southern hospitality. And I feel like you always hear about the whole Southern hospitality thing and you wonder if it's a real thing. And it 1000% is. Everywhere you go, everyone is, yes sir, yes ma'am, holds open the door for you. They're so friendly with our kids. Everyone is just about family and being kind to each other and being courteous. And that's just something that no matter how nice of a place you live in, is just like nowhere else. So that is just the cherry on top for us, I feel like. Another big thing for us was the cost of homes. We had a beautiful house in Idaho, but we hardly had any land, and something that we really wanted was to be able to have more land and to have chickens again and to have a big garden and to just raise our family outside on our land, out in the country with some peace and quiet, and just kind of have a little piece of land at our home off to ourselves. And that's something that we always wanted in Idaho, but honestly, home prices were rising so quickly there that we just could not afford it there. So when we were looking around at other places that we wanted to move, and we felt God directing us to Tennessee, when we found almost 3 acres, 15 minutes from West Nashville for almost half of what we paid for our house in Idaho. I'm not joking. That was a huge green flag from us, and we felt like just a huge sign from God that this was right for our family. So home prices obviously are a huge factor for anyone looking to move anywhere, and that was just another thing for us. So yeah, those were our main reasons for why we ultimately chose Tennessee and chose to settle around the greater Nashville area. I know it was a lot, so if you guys have any questions on any of this, or maybe if you're thinking about making a similar move and you have questions, feel free to drop them below. Send me an email, connect with me on social media. I am always more than happy to help you guys out. And yeah, till my next video, I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.